I'm finally back. Took an extended break. I was doing a lot in a different game I play, and then life kind of hit, and so I've been away, but I'm back. I did. There's been some exciting changes to the game since the last time I recorded anything, and I did get a chance to play around with them pretty much right after they dropped. And I was very excited, and I have a short little video talking about my joy and excitement around the changes that they added, among some other things that I thought, you know, might have been done differently. But there was a whole like little short excited video that I will also be releasing, possibly in conjunction with this one, otherwise like later, Friday or something. Anyway, I do have plans to release that as well, because that was like moment of excitement, and now it's kind of settled in that these things exist, and I almost forgot that they didn't at one point because I've just been working on this build and they all became normal to me. So that one has like pure joy and excitement to it, and I'd like to release that because it's different than how I will sound about it now. But anyway, preamble done. So this is the house. The outside hasn't changed really in terms of the front facade and all of that. There is a minor change inside the garage, something that I was really looking forward to that I didn't know was coming. We'll get to that later. I'm gonna go around the side of the house first. It's my lovely mailbox that I don't think I showed off in that other video, but just, I mean, it's a mailbox, but it's there. I mentioned it, I know, and then I don't think I really showed it. But the bigger change is I finally finished the stairs. As you can see, there's like a whole side to them now. You don't look in at grass. This part of the patio is fully done. You see the stairs done. There's covering there. So I finished this. I finished the side of the stairs. I'm really proud of myself. That tedious work got done. So here's the other, so there's these lights around the patio here now. You can see when it's nighttime, and I'll turn them on for nighttime so you can see them better. And obviously some cool stuff back there, so that's a teaser to this lovely pool I'll talk about in a minute. But I added some tables beside the lounge chairs, and then some lights on top of them, and then also lights up in these like cabana parasol things, whatever these are called, the sunshades. I'm sure there are words for them. I don't really have words for them, so whatever you call these. I put lights up inside of them, so when they fold up, I think that they would fold up nicely around these lights. They wouldn't like get in the way of the folding mechanism, so I chose these ones. I also put a little switch. You know me, we're gonna be talking about switches and lights a lot because they're very important to me. Both of those things, probably the most important assets in the game to me. So there's a switch in each of these posts that goes to the light, specifically just the one inside this little cabana umbrella portion. And so that controls it at night. So you'll have to imagine that there's some sort of power coming to this, whether that's through solar power means, or if it is, wired through the ground somehow. I don't know. But there's a power source and a switch mechanism for this light. It's not like battery powered with a little switch. And so there's one on this one too, and then another light, so that one goes over the table. And then just these post lights going all the way around the pool, and here is the lovely and fantastic pool. So I figured out if I go into playtest mode of this, all these things that I very carefully floated on top of the water fall into the pool. So we are in the build mode, the sandbox build mode. To view this, I'm gonna switch back to the playtest mode before doing the rest of the inside of the house tour for the changes there, because I like how the metals show up, especially this rose gold, but most of the metals just look a lot better in the playtest mode. For whatever reason, they look very different than they do right here. But I want this stuff floating on top of the pool, gosh darn it. So I wanted to show it off in the way that I had it designed, which is with the stuff floating. So, okay, I'm going to walk you in. My short little video also does this, but I'm going to walk you into the pool itself. So this is the pool. We've got these lights. You can't see them from outside the pool as well, but there are these tube lights, or you know, whatever these fluorescent strip light things are, along the bottom of each section and at each of the where am I stuck? Oh, okay. And at the edge of the drop-offs. So there's one there, and then there's one here too before this drop-off, so you kind of have a visual cue of like, oh, besides just the little white marker to let you know that there's an edge coming, there is also a light there. I mean, there's lights all the way around each section, but it kind of gives you a visual cue of like, this is the boundary of the section. And then I also put them next to the ladders that climb out of each of the pools, so they're very well lit. You can find them very easily. And then there's the additional, which they don't show up very well during the daytime. That was me swimming, I guess. I floated out of the water for a moment. They don't show up very well during the daytime. At nighttime, you'll see them a little bit better once I go underwater. But these side lights that go around the outer edge of the pool, I had to switch them. I originally had the ones that like function in ground, and for whatever reason they don't work with the pool. So the great part of it that makes it a ground light just it doesn't work. So they stand either on top of the pool floor, or you have to sink them, but then they go too low. So anyway, it wasn't worth it. There wasn't a good way to include them, so I switched them out for these lights, which are less bright, and I don't like them as much, but this is what we have. So they're along the sides here, and then all the way around the boundary until you get to the one that's a drop off, and then they're not in the way of your feet as you drop off. There are still the lips here, the little bump outs, so that you know that you're headed into the deep end. I kept this functionally the same, right? So the ladders, the little bump outs, little white indicators, lights, all of it, to let you know, like, hey, danger, you're changing elevation kind of thing, because this is the really deep 13-foot part. But there's a drain down there, there's some lights, and then you can swim in this game. So see, I'm sinking. And then I can swim upwards without using fly or anything. I can just swim up out of the pool. It's pretty cool. I love that they added those physics to this game. There's at the back there, that's a pool filter, so I added that. And then I got to change the walls, and the flooring, obviously. Like, this is a different type of covering for each of the floor and the walls. Before I had to use the marble to make it look like it was a pool. Now it has real water. I don't have to make it look like a pool, so it gets cool wall design now. So this is the wall, and then this is the flooring. Get out of the pool. It's white, you can see from here, like where the water's thinner, that these are just like a white and or grayish off-white kind of color. The white trim around the edge of the pool stays the same. We still have the rose gold accessories. And then, the beach balls. So let me see if I can do this without sinking too fast. No. We'll float for a minute. Okay. So I put beach balls in these little like dips at the end of either one. There's like a little donut ring on either side of this beach volleyball, pool volleyball, that's what it would be, pool volleyball net. So I thought that was kind of an ingenious place to stick some volleyballs so that they would be with their net. And then we just got a floating beach ball, and then over here was a floating floater, like the little floaty things, the rings, that donut rings that you float around in. I don't actually know what those are called. I always call them the little floaties. But yes, so there's that one, which I imagine to be the youngest daughter's like favorite floaty, so it kind of stays in the pool where she would use it the most. And then there's other ones, so that's the only one that's like character shaped. They had some others that I could have chosen from that were character shaped, but that one was the cutest to me. And then these ones I thought were also cute, so I picked them in a whole bunch of different colors, including her color and her brother's colors. And then there's like a pink one, purple, yellow, green. The only color that's not here from the rainbow of 6 is orange, which is possibly my least favorite color, so it didn't make it. Surprise! Anyway, this was a huge task. So I made container itself out of a like wall. It's supposed to be a wall piece. So I made the container for these. You'll actually, if I crouch down, you can kind of see there's this little gap at the bottom. It's on the front and the back sides, so that as you put wet things in here, they can drain out. The water doesn't get just trapped at the bottom and make it all nasty. So that was by design. And then I put each of these little ring toss rings into the box individually, very painstakingly, just like I showed in that one short walkthrough of like how I do the stairs when I made the angled step for the patio, or the angled wall trim, you know, baseboard trim. I just like, this is all that manual process stuff where you have to tell it, I want you to move this way, this way, this way to get it exactly where you need it. So the fact that these don't overlap with each other, they don't squish into each other, nothing, you know, if you're looking really carefully, nothing is touching in a way that it wouldn't be able to in real life. That took a lot of work, just in case that wasn't noticed. It took a lot of effort. But no one puts their ring toss game away properly. That never happens. It just doesn't. People are lazy. They're like, there's a box, here's all the rings, dump the rings in the box, good enough, we're good. I don't want to like stack them up all nice and neat. And if so the ring toss does let you put all the rings. It's really kind of cute and clever. You can put all the rings on this ring toss, right? On each of the little posts. But they stack centered and like perfectly stacked, and just that's not ever gonna look that way. So I didn't use that feature, and instead I put them all in this box individually, piece by piece, just like all the little floaties went in individually, piece by piece, very manually. So kind of proud of the box. I'm spending a lot of time talking about a box that probably no one cares about, but I do. Okay, so then my other thing is these little posts with the triangular head to them are, what did they call them? Not faucets. It wasn't shower, it was, I don't know, some sort of, it's some water feature, right? Fountain. It's a fountain. And I was like, I've never seen this game with the pool packs of stuff, right? Like, not that that's an additional pack, but when they downloaded the pool stuff for everyone, that this was in it. I've never seen these at a pool. I don't know what these do. So I was like, what is their function? I don't know how to use these, but I thought they were pretty cool. So what I did was I put them next to each of the ladders coming out of the pool, so you kind of get like washed off as you come out. Now granted, this is water going back into the pool, so I'm going to imagine that this is water also coming from the pool, because why would you put fresh water into the pool that you're very carefully monitoring the chemical makeup of, right? Like pools have a very specific amount of chemicals in certain ratios that you have to keep the water clean with, right? So if you're going to be taking water out of the pool and putting it back into the, or if you're going to be adding water to the pool, it's going to be the same water that was in the pool, I would almost guarantee. So therefore, I'm assuming that these are cycling water from the pool. I originally imagined them as like clear, pure water that would be washing you off as you got out, so that the chlorine is like getting rinsed off of you every time you get out, which would be kind of nice. But then I realized, no, they're dumping the water into the pool. That's not going to be how they're designed. So probably they're just cycling water from the pool, but it's still nice to, you know, kind of have it wash over you as you get out. So that's what their function is in this one. If someone knows what these are for, feel free to leave a comment. I'm very curious. I've never seen these before at a pool. I have no idea. They did not add diving boards, unfortunately, but that's okay. I still love mine. I put a lot of effort into that. It looks nice. I think it's fine. So I still have my original diving board from the original pool that didn't have water that I showed before, but they did add slides, pool slides. So I have one of those now, and the original slide moved over here, changed colors slightly, but it's over here now with the rest of the swing set play stuff, and I added a little birdhouse over there, you can see. But I'm just gonna float up a little bit for a minute so that you can see. Okay, so at nighttime you'll see this light that's on the post over here. That's kind of meant to light up the diving board and the pool slide, because they're far enough away from these outside edge lights and the lights around the pool itself that you don't really get the right amount of light over here, and it'd maybe be dangerous using either of these with the pool at night. So I added a light to make it not dangerous. And then I also added one of these same faucet things, whatever they're, I already forgot what they were called again. But I added one of these up on top of a little post, so it would be cycling the same pool water again as the others, but it's going onto the slide. So instead of just being a regular slide, this is now a water slide, was my idea and thought behind this. So that's why it's up on the post. That's why it's over top of the slide. I'm sure that that was pretty well apparent as soon as you saw, like, oh, there's this and it's by the slide, but that makes it a water slide. Obviously the water doesn't come out of these. I don't have a feature to turn them on and off so that you could see the water moving. Probably for the best, because who knows where it's going, right? So like, would they add a feature so that it knew if it was hitting a solid object and it would go down the pool? I doubt it. So that would just look kind of dumb if it was falling through the pool. So anyway, I'm glad that it doesn't actually shoot water out. It would be kind of neat, but that would be a lot for the game to handle. So smart. Anyway, that's what I use that one for, is water slide. And then I talked about those ones already. So that's everything for this section. Now these pool lights, because of light bleed, which I've talked about way too many times and will continue to mention because it's just, I don't know, my brain does that. I'm trying to explain away things that you understand, like, oh, it's not gonna look like that. I will go and turn these off, and that's the time when we'll go in the garage and talk about the thing that they added with the pool stuff that was a surprise to me and I was really excited about, that's in the garage now. But so we have these light posts outside too by the patio. So the lights for the patio wrap all the way around. The only side that doesn't have any, like, on the side is here. You don't want any interrupting your path into the yard, in my opinion. So I didn't put any here. But they do wrap around by the little play area. Otherwise, this is all unchanged here, and you'll get to see it later, the actual pool with lights at night. And then this part's the same, and we just have the slide and the bird house that I made with the color. I mean, not made. I did not create that, but I put it up there in the colors that match the rest of this sort of area, the blues and the whites and whatnot. So yeah, and I changed the slide from blue, and the whole thing just got a refresh so it looks like it matches the rest of the sandbox and play area. Okay, so now, I still haven't done anything with the side of the yard. I will at some point. I also mentioned in this video, like, oh, the basement will be done, and we'll be working on the side yard. The basement's not done, but I did stuff with it that was significant, and so I made a video anyway. Plus, it's been a really long time, and I'm very sorry about that. So, we're gonna go in the house. We're gonna get the door closed. Be careful how I open and close doors now. There's a video that I'm not posting publicly, but that I figured out that there was a glitch. I think I pointed out the door handles being wonky in one of the previous videos. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's in the exact previous video to this one where I was talking about, like, oh, sometimes they do this where they're down at an angle. I figured out what causes that. I don't know why. Like, I'm not behind the game code at all, but at least I know the cause and how to fix it. So I've fixed it for all the doors, but now I have to be careful how I open them because that's part of what's breaking it. Okay, anyway, so this is the garage, and this is the exciting new thing. They added cars. Now you're gonna have to forgive me, and I talk about this in the other video that's just like my initial excitement video, is that the way that they mapped the materials in the car is wonky, in my opinion. It's just a little strange. I would have done this very differently to make it make sense, but I'm a little annoyed that the bottom part of my car is rose gold, because I wouldn't ever have a rose gold bottom on a car. That doesn't make any sense. But I wanted rose gold accents inside. I also didn't want the doors to be rose gold. I did want, like, accent parts to be rose gold, but the way that they tied all of these different textures and whatever options together, it didn't allow for me to do what I would have done with the interior. So this is how it ended up, so that I could at least get somewhat of the look I wanted without it, I don't know, being too crazy. So yeah, it got map weird, but I'm still really, really excited to have a real car in the game, because now I do still have beds over here, because I didn't want a second one of this exact car, right? Like I've got one of this car and it's got the rose gold that is driving me crazy. I didn't want to recreate and put a second one of the same car in here. So I will just be removing these beds later, and it'll be like the other car is gone. That parent is away from home with it, you know, at work or whatever. So just the one car is in the garage at the moment, but at least there are cars, and so now I know how long it is, and when I build this space out with the shelving and whatever, I can make sure that there's space for people to still walk through, because you want people to be able to walk through, obviously, and all that good stuff. So yeah, this is how this is set up. I'm going to go turn off the pool lights, which I put on their own switch. Let's see, turn those off. Just so I could turn them off for the video, because they light bleed into the basement really, really, really badly. So we're going to have them off. I'll show later the light bleed, because it's related to a certain room, and that's going to be at the very end of the video for reasons that you will uncover later. But yeah, so that is what I was excited about in the garage. Now we're gonna go off into the basement. So close this. Off and away into the basement. Yeah, I didn't change anything here, right? I'm pretty sure. Okay, so off into the basement. There's a light switch here. Let's see if I can, haha. So there's a light at the top of the stairs, another one down here at the base of the stairs. The light switch at the bottom of the stairs controls both of those. Right, so it's off now. I'm gonna actually close that door. Oh, where's the center of my screen? There we go. Okay. Close the door. So this is the part of the basement that I've designed so far. So like you can see over there, nothing's done. Ceilings, I guess, and some walls, but that's it. But this is the portion of the basement that's been done. The pictures are not mine. I take no credit for any of the art that's on the walls. I found it online and imported it to the game. It's not mine. But we have a dartboard over here, so the dart art on the wall next to it. We've got 3 of each of the darts in there from these 2 boxes, and then there's extra darts inside the boxes. And then, so let's see, just so you know, these are closed to look the same as these boxes, so their tops look just like this too. But these boxes, if I can find the center of my screen, nope. Okay, we're gonna do it this way. It should have been opening. There we go. Okay, so these have a different set in them. So you'll see the little, oh, I should have looked up what these were called. The end part of the dart, that would be like the feather on a bow, or the arrow of a bow. I don't know what that's called, if it's called a feather for darts. I don't play darts, I'm very sorry. But the feather part, whatever that is, the end is white. And then the shaft part is also white on the far left side. And then the right side has blue feather, whatever, and then blue shaft, right? Okay, so then stand up. The left one here is white and blue on the shaft. So the feather's white, the shaft is blue. I'm gonna keep calling it a feather. I'm very sorry if it offends anyone who actually plays darts and knows what that's called. I'm sorry. Anyway, the right box that's in the blue box, this dart is blue feather with a white shaft, and these ones that are on the dartboard all match these ones that are in these boxes, right? So they're opposing colors for the feather and the shafts, and then the ones down below are the same color for the feather and the shaft. So it's 4 different dart sets. I don't know why that's important for me to make sure that you know, but they are. And there's 4 of each dart in each set. So that's how that's designed. Let me get these closed again. Wow, where's my pointer? No wonder it was way off in nowhere land. All right, uncrouch, we're done. So yeah, just like some flour, some art. There is a light switch over this. Oh, there we go. Okay. So it kind of makes makes it easier to see the darts and the dartboard, specifically focused on the dartboard. Now, if it makes it harder for whoever's playing to see, you can always just turn it off. It's not a permanent light, right? So, optional. And then we have chair table here, and then these couches have side tables. Oh, I forgot to put a light on that one, so I'm assuming I forgot. Yeah. I meant to put little lights on either side of these couches, so next time I'm down here there will be another light on the other side, over here, right? But this same light over there. So I've got the couches on either side. This light switch goes to... Let's see if I can hit it. Nope. I'm way off base. I was just getting worse. All right. It goes over the pool table, which I know is very cramped over on this side. I'm sorry. I know that this is not the ideal pool setup. I did at least give it plenty of space over here, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I tried. I very much tried. This seemed like the perfect spot for a pool table when I was envisioning it, and then the table was a lot larger than I had thought it would be in my mind, because I imagined it being like over here, and then there'd be plenty of space to stand on either side, but then that makes... I did try moving it over this way, and it gets really close to these bookshelves, and you would have a hard time shooting from this side, so... You know, at least there's a gap here, so like you can bend over the table to shoot from this side and, you know, hopefully get your angle, and then otherwise you would just have to have a really short pool stick that you could, again, lean over the table on that far side under the stairs and shoot with a very short stick instead. Apologies, that's just how this one's set up. I could have used more space, and I should have given it more space because there is a little bit more space behind this wall to give, which we'll talk about. But I used that space for something else, so it's not available anymore, and I'm not moving it, and I'm not moving the table. And if I moved this too far, like whatever's behind this wall that we'll talk about later, if I moved that out further, it would run into the pool itself that's underground, right? So I can't just keep extending it backwards to make room for the pool table. So pool table is what it is, but yeah, so there's some art on the walls. Again, not my art. There's a hockey puck for the air hockey table, which is over here. All of this is set in colors to match the walls. These walls are my favorite color. In the whole world, this is my favorite color. So I was really excited that I got to use it. It's not quite the blue that the older brother uses, and it's not, or at least I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure it's not. And it's definitely not the blue for the younger sister, but it is my favorite blue. So, and blue is my favorite color. So I kind of gave this space, like, I don't know, a nice feel with the blue, I think. And then the lights and all of that. So there's a light switch on this side too, and the pool cues, there's not like a wall thing to rack the pool cues on, you know, stand them up and so they don't topple over and they've got a place to live, right? So I use this thing that's meant for hanging keys because it's got these little pegs that stick out of it. That's pretty much perfect. If the end part wasn't designed as a key, this would be perfect for this. So, you know, whatever. And then there's a little hook here for the actual ball rack that would hang from there. And then next to it is our light switch that is for the light over the pool table. So there's one on either side, just so that whoever's playing, no matter where you exit from or whatever, enter from, you can turn it on easily. Again, my thing with light switches and convenience and making sure there's lots of them so I'm never alone in the dark. Okay, so that is this space, and it's kind of done. There needs to be some art over here on this wall, but it's not finished. I also need to fill out the bookshelf with books and decorations and other accessories, and I just haven't. That's with the whole rest of the house. At some point I have to come along and do the tedious little design work, and I do that with a lot of more rooms, when I get excited about, like, oh, and I get an idea and I know what I want to do with it. But things like bookshelves where you need a lot of little things to fill them out, I kind of just lose steam. So I didn't even start this one because I was already out of steam before I even started. I was just like, that's a lot of shelves. We'll get to it. So those will have stuff later. I'll probably, maybe not. I don't know. I might put something up above the bookshelves as a decoration on the wall, or I just might leave it empty. And then this wall does need decor. Like, it needs something to make it not so plain. I don't like empty walls. But they don't need to be busy, but they need to have something. So yeah. Anyway, that's this. I just realized, though, that something did change inside upstairs. So we're gonna go look at that, and then I will show the nighttime view. And then I'll talk about why we're putting the other thing that I did down in the basement, why we're putting that at the end of the video. So, what changed up here, and you maybe noticed as I was walking over, there are windows on this side of the house now. In the previous video, I talked about how empty that side of the house was, and it really bothered me because it's just this flat wall. And same with the back wall here. I'll show you in a minute, but there are windows there now too, and that one that's over in the corner on this wall. So I added several windows here. Let's go look at the ones upstairs. So this is what they look like from up top, and you can now see into the side of the yard. It's kind of nice. And then out the back, and you can see into the pool from here too. So these are on either side of the art. Remember I said I didn't want to get rid of the art, but there was plenty of space to put them on either side of it, right at the top of the stairs. They don't look awkward. I was afraid they'd look awkward because I thought that I had to put them like hovering over this part of the stair, and I don't know. I was worried, but they look nice the way that they are. And I've got this one over here that looks in at the patio. So I guess it's not a patio. That is the word that I remembered last video and then forgot again. Balcony. I don't know why that word's so hard for me. That's the balcony. So yeah, that's what I changed up here. We're gonna go look at it from outside because I don't think I really did it any justice when I was outside looking around earlier. We're gonna go take a closer peek at this, and then we'll get the nighttime view. This is now what this see, that doesn't look so much nicer than when it was a blank empty top. Oh, I hated when it was empty. Okay, and then this one over here. So this one also has window. So now you get that extra little view. And lastly, going this way. Along the side, there are windows now. It doesn't look so barren. That wall was the worst. The other ones were also, well, I guess the one up on the balcony wasn't so bad because there were other windows up there, and it kind of distracts from the fact that, like, oh, there's no window on this one wall. Plus, it's a shorter wall, much shorter. So it wasn't a big deal. But the back of the house specifically where the door is, that bothered me. Not as badly, though, as this wall. Because there aren't any windows down lower because that's all either staircases or the closet or whatever. So there can't be windows down on this lower level, and that's fine. But not having any on the upper part too is just, it was making the wall so empty. So it's not empty anymore. I'm very happy with it. Okay, so now we are going to switch to nighttime. Okay, so this is the house at nighttime. And I turned on the outside lights just so you can kind of, I don't know, I get scared of the dark, right? And you can kind of see how nice it looks lit up at night. All of the exterior lights that would be, in my imagining, solar powered, so like these ones along the garden here, or the tulips, and then the ones along the back fence, those are all on as well, and so are the pool lights. I'm gonna go around. Okay, so it does get dark on this side of the house. There aren't any exterior lights around this side. But then we go over to the pool area, and it is nice and bright considering it's nighttime, right? So the back patio is lit up. There's some, like, I don't know, it's mood lighting. It's not completely bright, but it's not dark either. And then we've got these little post lights by the stairs. I can't remember if I think I did mention them earlier during the day, but this is what they look like and how much light they give off lit up at night. And then I'll turn on these these ones are click to turn on each individually. I forgot that I've got this overlay on, but we're gonna leave it on for a sec while I get all these lights on. I apologize. So, switch here. We're not gonna look at it yet. One moment. Switch here. Let's turn this off. Okay. So then, this is what it looks like. Apologies for the flickering lights. It really does not like having this much lighting going in my game. I guess it's only in those two, so maybe there's just one with them. Either way, this is what it looks like all lit up at night with the lights underneath the sun canopy. I don't have a word for this. Parasol, whatever it is, sunshade. That's what it looks like with those lights lit up underneath. So that's how the switches work then. With the sunshade, and then you turn it off, and it's a little bit dimmer. If you want sort of a more intimate vibe, you can not have that center light on and just have these two table lights going. Otherwise, when they're not in use, you'd have those off as well. And then that off. So this is, you can see, right, like these lights now stand out a lot more for the pool area. Oh, also we're in test mode, so all of the things that were floating, I told you, they sink in test mode. So they're sunk. That's what they look like underwater, apparently. But this is also what the water looks like in test mode, right? So it looks a little bit different and very nice. It looks very nice. Everything looks really nice when you're playtesting it instead of building. Including all the metals. I love how they look in playtest, as I've mentioned. But yeah, so the lighting here shows up better, and then we're going to go down in the pool again, because at night these lights along the bottom that trim sort of the floor of it stand out a lot better underwater. So, like, all my beach accessories. Did the other thing? Yeah, it's down at the bottom there. Apparently they don't float. But yeah, so this is the pool at night. Kind of cool. I like the vibe. So we've got this, and then going around. So they keep it nice and bright by the like ladders that climb out. I like that. And it's still light enough to do the diving board and the slide, like I talked about. Like you can actually use the water slide. It's not too dark now with the go up here because you can't fly in this mode. But with the light that's on that post, it, you know, gives enough light to see what you're doing, climbing up the ladder and sliding down the slide and whatnot. So all of this is all done out here now. And then let's see these. This is what this looks like all lit up. So obviously there's not a ton of light. You would not want to spend, I might need to put more light out here, honestly. This would be creepy to me as a kid without any light. So maybe there needs to be a little bit more somehow. Over here for the sandbox play area, whatever, like this has enough, I think. And maybe the sandbox does? I don't know. The teeter-totter somehow felt very dark from over there, and same with this trampoline definitely feels dark and creepy to me. But otherwise, I think that this looks nice. Currently the lights stop here. They might continue down, depending on what I end up doing with this side yard. They'll continue maybe, but yeah, so this is the side of the house without all of the interior lights on, right? So this is just exterior lights on at the moment, besides the one interior light that I'll go show in a minute. Or right now, I guess. We'll go inside the house right now. That is always on. It was my decision that, like, this light in front... Oh! Somehow... Oh, because the game, when you enter test mode, it turns lights off. All the lights off. I didn't know that originally. This light is meant to always be on, right? The one that's in front of the plants. Just... It's an accent light. It's not really casting that much light, so the bedrooms are way over there. So it's just always going to be on by the front door. I guess you could turn it off before bed if you really wanted to, but the only switch for it is right here next to it. So, intentionally, so that it stays on. Otherwise, yeah, that's what this looks like with all the lights on. We will go into car looks like at night with the lights on, because I know the metals look a little different when it's daytime without lights versus daytime with lights versus nighttime with lights. All of it looks different. Things shine differently, which would be true in real life too, but yeah, so this is what the metals and everything look like during the day. Again, I would have had this look a little different if I had controlled where the colors go, but I didn't, so this is how they are. So that's that part. I guess, yeah, I'm gonna turn these off. We're gonna turn off lights so that my game doesn't have a panic attack over how many lights are on, because we saw that in that other video where the game just really does not love having all of the lights on. There we go. That should be all the outside lights now. Yeah, the flowers are off now as well. We'll go double check, but I'm pretty sure the pool ones are off. Into the house. We get to do my least favorite thing and walk around in mostly dark. Hate it. Okay. But we do have to go turn off several of the outside lights. So yeah, all the pool lights are off now, so they won't be into that other room. No, that's the wrong one. Up a little bit. There we go. Those are the outside lights from there. Outside lights from there. Oh, I forgot to turn off the ones that are. Let's turn this off. Oh, it's getting so dark. Okay. So we got that. I'll go upstairs. I kind of like the soft lighting from upstairs that's coming down. That's kind of nice. It shouldn't be, because it's all outside, so you shouldn't be able to see it from the inside, but you know, whatever. Oh, that was the wrong light switch. Okay. There we go. So that's that patio, and then these patio lights need to go off. There we go. Okay. I've done a little bit better at finding the center of my screen for turning off lights. I think that this is just the always on lights. Okay. So that's done, and then that stays on. So now we'll go down to the basement. I'm glad that light stays on. It's not completely dark here. There we go. So this is the hallway down at night. So you know it's a little bit darker. Kind of creepy, but whatever. And then you can turn on the light over the ice hockey table. This is what that looks like when it's all lit up. Alright, not ice hockey. Oh my goodness. Air hockey table. And then the light over the pool table. If I can find the center of my screen. There we go. And this light. So that lit up now. And then that light. So this is everything but the darts lit up. Let me turn on darts. Find it. There we go. Darts lit up. It doesn't really add that much light to the space because it's very focused on the dartboard, but it looks really nice. Doesn't that look gorgeous? I like that a lot. So yeah, this is the game room at nighttime. The setup that it currently has. Alright. So now, we're gonna do another thing. I'm gonna tell you why that extra space that I decorated behind the bookshelves is not part of the very first video. While I go turn off all these lights, we're gonna talk about that. So, I added a very adult-themed room behind those bookshelves. So, when we finish turning off all these lights, I'm going to cut to daytime view of the room behind this wall, right? So we're gonna go see it, but you've been warned, it is adult content. It's not like, obviously there's nothing pornographic. It's adult content. If you are not interested in more mature content for a room design, then, you know, maybe end the video here. We're actually done. I've turned off all the lights. all the ones that get turned off besides this one. So we're gonna head back outside. When I cut back in, we're gonna be in the basement. Actually, we'll just go back down there so that when I come back in, it's a little bit more normal. But it'll be bright because it'll be daytime. So here is, oh gosh, it's so dark. Here's where we'll be picking back up again in a moment with daytime again. Mature themes beyond this point. Turn the video off if you're not interested. Thank you for watching. Okay, so for the rest of you, here's where we start. It is now daytime. As you can see, the room's not so dark because natural light, despite this being a basement with no windows, the natural light of day somehow gets in here, right? So I don't have to have any lights on during the daytime. But you may have noticed as I walked by this thing that's sitting on the shelf. You probably couldn't tell what it was because I didn't go very close or look at it very closely. But this shelf has a key on it. And the key is because this is, oh, the key must be nearby. How do I pick up the key? Hold on. There we go. Collect. I locked this door on purpose because that's how it would be. This key is meant to be inside one of the books, right? So when I put books on this bookshelf, the idea is one of them will be sitting on top of the key, or maybe I'll float it up into the book, however it is, whatever. But if this was real life, one of the books would just kind of be a fake book where there's many pages that you can actually flip through. It makes it look like it's real, but tucked in the book somewhere is this key that unlocks this door. And beyond this point is the BDSM room. So we're gonna shut the doors. Okay, so kind of overview of the room, right? So we've got things in the ceiling, sort of not hooks, but you know, like loops to sort of suspend someone from with chains or whatnot. We've got a pole to dance on, or chain someone to, however you want to use it. Just a pole. And then these, my imagining is that with these cinder block, I think that's what they're called, these cinder block walls, and then the wood centerpiece that's, you know, sort of decorative but also not, like part of the reason that this middle section is wood, besides making it just visually look a little different and be interesting, is so that you can move these loops, these metal hooks, whatever you want to call them, to different spots. So if you want them lower so someone can be chained up on their knees, or if you want them higher up a little bit because someone's taller, you could even put them up in the cinder block part if you drilled holes in the wall, like these ones. I imagine there's a few more going over this way because you could also then move these off to the side. So maybe you want someone over by the bed or whatever, right? Like these are fully movable, and the idea is that probably the ones in the ceiling are too. Maybe, I don't know, the ceiling's a nicer material, maybe you don't move those ones, but maybe you do, I don't know. However it is, the ceiling ones are clearly, you know, there's a hole drilled in there, like screwed in there, or attached securely somehow, but they could still be moved. These ones though would be moved more easily because they're going into wood, right? So these would be the most adjustable on this side, was the whole idea. And then we have a crossover on the wall here for place. We've got some more hooks to be chained up on that, and then one if you want it to be suspended over on the side of the bed instead, or on the bed. I don't know if you could tell before, but those are like over the bed. There's also this little stool in case you're not quite tall enough to be suspended the way that they're, you know, being suspended. You need a boost up for a minute, or the person who's doing the play, you know, like the top would be sitting here right after having engaged with their bottom for a while. All reasonable uses for this stool. Otherwise, we have, this is meant to be, I know it's actually a projector, and that's what it's labeled as in the game as well, but I more visualized it as a camera that can be moved around to record scenes from, like rotated to record different play scenes in this room, and I also thought maybe I don't have anything. Maybe I will build something into the ceiling that makes it look like there's a track for it to move along, but you know, maybe there's a track in the ceiling so that it can be moved to different parts in case you want different angles, or like if it were to rotate to view like someone who's chained up over here, you're gonna have the pole in the way of that view, right? So you'd want it to be able to move slightly, at least even to here. But even if it could get over here would be ideal, right? So that it can look straight at the event, or over here somewhere, right? You just want it to be able to move around. So maybe there's a track in the ceiling that allows for that, which would give even more credence to these loops being stationary, right? Not going anywhere because the track is taking up a lot of probably the rest of the real estate on this ceiling. There's also these can lights, the spotlights for the two currently primary focus areas of play, but you can see they're fully mobile, right? They're not welded to the ground in any way or whatever, bolted. So you can reposition them. This is just where I had them for the two scenes that would currently be happening. And then I don't have any lights on in here. Obviously it's very bright because it's daytime outside, but there are lights in here. So we've got, let's see if I can click on it, or if okay. We have purple lights around the outside here, or like the outer edge of the room, goes all the way around. And then we have red lights behind the cross, like that. And then we also, next to the bed, there is another switch. Can I get that one? Maybe? Where is my... There we go. That's not face. There is another one that goes under the bed, right? So we've got that all lit up underneath. That's a cage for the bed. And actually, I know right now it's not visible, and I hate that. Every time I load in this game, it goes away. But I made this with a fence, so it wants to disappear my corner posts for some reason. But there are posts there that match the one over there, right? Like that would look the same. I don't know why it's gone. I'll fix it before we do the night view, because I'll have to switch to the other mode for that, and it should allow it to come back. But you see that there's a key here. I can't put a gate in the fence. Those don't exist anywhere in the game regardless. So it's not like I could fudge one. But so I put a key here. This is supposed to be the gate portion that's right in the center of the bed there. It's on a little hook that's sewn to the mattress, but then the key itself obviously not sewn, so you can take it off the hook after you've locked someone in there and you can walk away with it. Or you could leave it there as like a, you know, you can let yourself out anytime, kind of be a good girl kind of thing, good boy, whatever. A good submissive stays under the bed even though the key is in reach. So that's the underbed cage portion of this. You can see that the lights reflect. Now this makes sense, that there would be a reflection on the glass, but then it also bleeds into this, like you wouldn't be able to see the X from that room on this glass. That's not gonna fly. That's not how that works. So that's light bleed. So we are gonna turn off, but I do like the reflection there. We're gonna turn off these lights before we go in the bathroom for real. Just because the light bleed is a thing, and I'd like the bathroom to be viewed without it. So, and we'll also go in that other door that's right next to me right now. Where are we? Where's the center? There we go. Okay. But that's that room. And then this is, so that wall is a metal, facing on the wall, and then the metal is also what surrounds this sort of accent wall, which funnily enough, that accent middle part, that granite, is the same thing that's on the ceiling here. So it's like in here it's the ceiling, and then in this room it's the accent. But then we've got another, I don't remember what stone I used for this, but stone on the wall, stone for the floors. There's a nice little mat to dry yourself off on when you get out, and then there's another stone up here. So this whole room can get wet safely without it well, I guess there's wood over here. kind of get wet safely without it wrecking anything. You could always replace that, I guess. Same with this, but otherwise this is, you know, pretty water friendly in terms of a room. There's a lot of shower heads, and while you could use this room with lots of people, and that's, you know, certainly one use for the dungeon space, but also, you know, if I could have added some shower heads without the faucet attachments or the parts that turn it on and off, right? So not the faucet, that's the top part. If I could have done the shower head without the knobs, I would have done that for this one and this other corner one, because they're mostly meant to be you're sharing, like you're in here having a good time or whatever with your partner, and then they don't have to get cold, right? Like you can be in this space together, even though it's a little smaller. You can be back in this corner or over in this corner together without getting cold because one of you doesn't have water, right? Running over you. This one probably would have its own knobs to turn on and off the water, just because it's more centered and it doesn't really belong to either side. But the other two, in a perfect world, I think I'd remove those knobs, or maybe leave them. I don't know. Maybe you want to have 5 people showering all in really close proximity. But I also think that if you did, you could just use these two and not have these others. There are lights in the corners here. You can kind of see the triangle lights in the corners. I will show those off when I go do the nighttime view, which all of this should look like the nighttime view, because as you see, there are no windows. There shouldn't be any light in here right now, but there is. Which I don't mind, because it kind of helps me show off the space without having the lights on, I guess. Like, I don't mind it, but it is still part of that whole light bleed thing that goes on. So this is this room. We showed that already. Let's go into the storage room. Okay, so there's this super heavy-duty looking duffel bag that they added to the game. I'm really impressed with it because it goes perfectly in a BDSM room. Like, perfectly. There are a lot of bags in this game that were labeled duffel bag, and some of them are, and some of them look more like purses. But either way, if you're gonna call anything a duffel bag, this is a duffel bag, and it is perfect for this room. I am so incredibly happy with it. So that's it. There's nothing behind the door. And then there's the paddle. Imagine that this is this is labeled in the game. This thing on the second to bottom shelf. It's labeled in the game as a pizza scraper. I'm not quite sure what that is, but that's not what it's being used for here. So it's semi-flexible, right? It's not steel, probably. You want it to be somewhat flexible, so it's like a hard rubber end to it, and then the pole for the handle. There's also down on this bottom some earphones, so you can do sound deprivation, and then we've got all the aftercare stuff, right? So water, very important after a session for both people, and then lotions and creams and things to, you know, treat your submissive. You gotta take good care of them. And then a brush, a hairbrush as well. And then we also have some gloves on this shelf. Actually, yeah, there we go. Now you can actually see. So there's 2 gloves. This one is on top of the other one. You can kind of see it. If I get closer, does it let you see them better? Yeah, a little bit. So some gloves, some olive oil, raspberry syrup, a bunch of candles, different colors. You can play with wax. These things that look like lollipops, or I guess that, like, in the game they're meant to be ice cream, like ice pops, right? In my world, these are insertable toys. These are plastic, hard plastic, insertable toys, or rubber or something, right? Like something that you would use. Glass, maybe. I like glass. Anyway, this is the eggplant. So this is like supposed to be a food item in the game, but you see how glossy it is. Eggplants are not this glossy. All of the food in the game looks really, really plastic, which was driving me crazy. But in this one instance, I'm actually really happy with it, because now it gets to be a toy. So it is a toy, like an eggplant, an actual eggplant toy. Like, it's not meant to represent anything else. It is just, this would be an eggplant toy. And then, so very large. User beware. some spoons for paddling. We've got some different sized cushions. So like this one's a little bit shorter in width. This one's the full square, and then this one's even shorter than that one. So this one's probably more often used as a pillow versus the other two might be propping up, you know, hips or whatever. I don't know why I'm going into all these details. Because you definitely need to know what all these toys are used for, right? Right. Okay, so anyway, we've got some boxes on the shelf. You can't put anything in them, so I don't know what's in them, but imagine handcuffs and other toys, other things, accessories, whips, all that sort of stuff would go in here. And then we've got Kleenex, because you're gonna need to clean things up, and also towels, lots of towels, both for personal use and to clean the space with. And then extra lights in the back, you know, in case you're setting up a lot of play scenes, right? And you want more lighting, different lighting, lighting from multiple angles, whatever, like there's extras. Also, in case you knock one over, you're playing a little too rough, aren't paying attention to where all the lights are, you knock one of these over. These are really expensive, I happen to know. So, you know, if you knock one over, you're not probably rushing right out to replace it. You're gonna want to grab a backup. So there's backups. There's also backup stools in case you need multiples of those. For some reason they're stacked. I couldn't fold them. It doesn't let you fold them. Otherwise they'd probably be stacked a different way. There's also this. It's supposed to be clothes rack, but I thought, you know what? I would totally throw that in a basement and, you know, suspend someone from it in various ways. So that's in here for play. And then we've got a horse, obviously. I mean, I say obviously, but I just kind of figure everyone would want one of those. So that's in here too. It's got the little like side part for your legs to kneel on if you're long enough. I wouldn't be, but whatever. And then the like lip, right? Or the, I don't know, the extra edge so that you get enough pressure. And then, again, not sure why I'm explaining these. Sorry. I am. Please enjoy. And so then there's this table, which you can't really see as a table right now because it's up against the wall. But it's got this striped granite top. And then I picked it because these legs are little metal loop legs, right? I don't know how much you can, there you go, see the top one. But they're both like that. I guess it's better if I go like this. You can see the top and bottom legs. Could be, you could handcuff or chain someone to these if they're laying on the top side of the table. So that's why I picked this specific table. And that's the storage room. That's all of it. Everything I think I covered now. Yeah, not that you needed the intense amount of detail that I went into there, but you have it. And that's kind of all. I am gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna turn on these lights if I can get them to go on. Am I hitting the right button? There we go. That one, and this one, and this one, if I can find it. There we go. And this thing, and lastly this one. So you can see kind of what it looks like with all the lights going, because I didn't have the 2 spotlights going while I had the other like accent lights for those pieces going. So that's what it looks like. And then if I turn off the overhead purple light, that's what it looks like with just the red and the spotlights, which I also really like. It looks pretty dang cool in my opinion. So red's not usually a color that I like because it's very in your face, and I tend to associate it with anger rather than like lust or something. But in this room specifically, I love it. It's perfect. So lots of red in this room. Yeah, so that's that. I'm gonna turn on, oh, that one's already off. Whoops. Okay, so I'm gonna turn off this one, and this one, and then we're gonna switch it to nighttime in a minute here. And I'm also going to show you, well, I guess at the end, I'll show you the light bleed from the pool that I was talking about, because that is specifically in this room. There is light that bleeds through from the pool. And I don't know why you would care, but I care, so you get to find out about it. I don't turn the lights on. Okay, we'll go outside and we will reset this to nighttime so you can properly see what this looks like at night. Okay, so now it's nighttime in the game. We're gonna have to grab that key again, so I will do that. was on the key, you butts. Okay, I have the key now. We can open the doors. So this is nighttime view. I don't know how there's still some light. I swear there should be no light in here whatsoever, but anyway, that is so strange. So this is what it looks like though at night. It's very dark, right? And then we turn on this light. Oh, where is it? Oh, there we go. So this is what it looks like with just the purple, which looks really cool. I imagine that these lights would get used by themselves more often when someone is dancing on that pole, right? Like this gives me more of a strip club vibe than, or just a regular club vibe than a dungeon vibe. But it's still like, I don't know, it's still good dungeon colors. So there's that, and then well, I guess we can turn on these ones next. One moment, fine, center my screen, there we go. I won't look at that just yet. We'll ruin the surprise, we'll show off everything. There we go. Okay. So now we have the ceiling lights with the red. Actually looks really good, I think. Again, I designed it, so I think everything looks good. I wouldn't leave it if I hated it. But yeah, I really like how this came out with the purple in the ceiling and then the red behind the cross. So this is what that looks like from here. I don't think I went behind the bed on the other daytime view, so that's kind of neat. View of that, and then this is the underside of the bed, which looks better when you're down on that level because it, you know, against the cement blocks, it has that lighting effect. It's nice. And then if we turn on these at the same time, that's what this looks like. So it does take away a little bit of that, you know, oomph from the red light and even the purple light because the white light overpowers it, which makes sense. But it's nice. It's a nice spot lighting thing, and you do still get the light reflecting around the room and on the floor, and it looks so cool. So that's this with all the lights on. I am going to turn them off so that we can go in the bathroom without light bleed, but I'm going to turn them back on later, probably. Maybe? I don't know. Whoa. No, no, no. We're not trying to sleep. The danger of trying to click a light switch that's next to a bed. Where am I? Okay. I was so close, but so far. Okay, so all those lights are off, and we're gonna turn off this one too. Okay, so this is the bathroom without any lights on. Kind of just dark. Very dark. I'm kind of glad there's this light coming from I don't know where, like reflective, because it's making this a little less creepy to me. Okay, so then we've got this light. Goes to these ones that are in the shower, right? So the shower is nice and bright now. This is a similar thing to what was happening in the master bathroom, where there's two sets of lights, two sets of light switches. So you can make the shower really bright and have this kind of be dimmer. So what just happened there? I lost all the color in my game. I didn't hit any buttons. Uh-oh. Graphical glitch? Nope, I got color there. What is going on? How do I turn that back on? I don't want a colorless game. This room is very gray, so it's fine, but I don't love this. Very weird. Very colorful. No. Interesting. Is it supposed to look like this? My purple stands out purple. I swear my color just like changed though. Or was I blind? My red's like red. That's so weird! What do these lights look like? They're proper. Okay. Well, I guess this is just normal. And I'm crazy. And it looked like that all along. Maybe? It feels so grayscale. Did I do that on purpose to my own game? No, because the ceiling should be more white, right? Am I crazy? No, I guess this really is just how this looks. Kind of. I feel like there should be more white up here. But, you know, whatever. Okay, so this is the shower all lit up. So it's like, you know, a little bit dim. It's intentionally that way. So there's the 2 sets of lights, just like there were in the master bath, where, you know, you can kind of enjoy sort of a relaxing shower. You can still see everything. There's plenty of light to get clean with. But it's not, the whole room's not just like overwhelmingly bright when you're trying to relax, come down after a fun session, right? And then there's another setting. So like I said, this is like the master bath upstairs. And then if you want, you can turn these lights on and the shower lights off. And that's an even more, you know, like soothing shower. So right, if you're like really keyed up from your session, like your play session, then this gives you that ability to just kind of chill and relax in this space. There's not a bath or anything where you could like, but you could sit on the floor and there's plenty of space here. And since the drains are on either side, the extreme sides, you could just lay down on the stone here and it wouldn't prevent draining. But yeah, so that's just kind of my thought about, like, you know, I would want after a really, really rough session or really hard extreme session, want something like this where it was like a little bit more low light to chill out my senses. But then you could also have both on at the same time. Another one on. So if you want it to be like really bright, especially if you're cleaning this bathroom, right? Because I imagine it needs a fair amount of cleaning, or like thorough cleaning. If you're cleaning it, you want to be able to see all the things. And so that is what this light setting is for. So you can see all of the things. It's plenty of light. Also, just if you're, you know, rather sensitive to light and there's never enough, this gives you a lot more light to work with. So yeah, that's this. That's all set up for the bath. Okay, so we're gonna turn off these lights then. And we will go over into the storage closet because it also has lights, and that's the last thing I promise I'll talk about. Because it's just lights. I mean, that's all the real difference is. Everything I already covered, but that's what sort of like that's what the horse looks like when you can actually see it properly, and the table, because the lighting does a lot for this space. So you can kind of see everything in here a lot better, and that's how it really would be. Since, like I said, there's no windows. There shouldn't have been light during the daytime hours. So this is the lighting that you would actually get in here. You can actually see all the things. I made these lights, you know, sufficient because this is a storage space. You don't need low lighting. You don't need anything. You want to be able to see where you're going. You don't want to accidentally trip over one of these can lights and just completely destroy the thing. Like I said, they're very expensive, and these are all twisted around each other, kind of, I guess. Too. So you want to be careful where you're walking. You want to see all the things. So that is this room. I am going to show you the light bleed, which I guess is most effective with all the lights off. So just remember that this is what this looks like with all the lights off, right? Okay, now let's go upstairs. Why is there light there? There's clearly light coming in from somewhere. I just don't, unless it's that front hall light. Oh, I wonder if it's that. I bet it's that, the light in there. This front hall light isn't even on anyway, so it wasn't that. Yeah, okay. So let me go turn on those pool lights. And yeah, I'm in the right place because this is on right. I can see outside. Okay, so those are the pool lights on now. Or not. Yes? Yeah, they are. Okay. Good. Oh yeah, the outside lights aren't on. That's why I couldn't see the other ones through the window. Okay, so now if we go in here, see that? See that light bleed? That's why I had to turn them off. That's why I had to put, I wasn't going to put the pool lights on a switch because I was like, those would always be on. Just always. There's no reason to have them off. They're a safety feature. Even during the day, you would want to know where those edges are. But in the game, because of light bleed, I did turn them off because I didn't want this coming through the corner over there where the pool is. I will actually walk you around. I'll show you why I couldn't back this room up any further. Oh, I lied. I won't walk you around. I forgot I closed that off. The pool is like right here, like starting here and over that way. This is where the pool starts. So that's why you can't. That's why you can see the light through that wall right there for the corner, and why I can't back this room up any further. It's already kind of a smaller space for a dungeon room. I mean, it's also pretty large for a dungeon room. I've seen smaller, but it's not that big. So like, there's not a ton of room, considering how many things I put in here. There's not a lot of room to move around. So, you know, I wasn't gonna make this any smaller, reduce its size, in, you know, especially the bathroom. Like, there's barely enough room to get in and out of this shower without it feeling claustrophobic, so I wasn't going to move this wall in any to accommodate for the pool table, because I'd have to move it in quite a bit, and I didn't want to do that, so this is what it is. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the secret, locked, adult-only parents dungeon room, because this is obviously, like, I talk about the kids a lot when I walk through here, and not really so much the parents, but that room is theirs. For sure, just the parents use that room. Kids don't even know it exists in my little story world. So they do a good job making sure that no kids are lurking anywhere nearby when they are coming or going. Actually, something I meant to include in there and will include in there is like a security view of at least the room around, like the stairs coming down to the basement, and then the room around, or the basement areas around that room, right? So that they would know, oh, it's safe to leave right now because no one's nearby. We won't get caught. That was pretty important. I forgot to include that. So I'll find a way to put some sort of monitoring devices in there. But that's for a later date, and when I do that, you will see it. Otherwise, that's the video for this time. I hope you had fun. Thank you for sitting through my longer video and the intense explanations about all the things in the adult-only room. Thank you for sticking around for that. I hope you had a great one. See you in the next video.